My name is Ruth Ridley. I'm from Eagle. I was born August 15, 1950. I have 7 brothers and sisters. My old grandma, Eliza Malcolm, she was probably over 130. She was nomadic. They had to move on, and then they almost starved to death. And she was pregnant, and she started having her labor pains. And that group just kept walking. While that, she just stopped and dug a hole and squat over it and had the baby. And she'd tie up everything herself, and then she had to take the baby and walk till she caught up with those people. That's pretty tough. My Indian name is Tu Tu. They always had a jumping swing that kids jump around. When they tried to put me in there, my little feet were just so tight that I didn't want to get in that jumping swing. And then after they put me in there, then they say, do, 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 do. That then make me jump up and down. So that's why they call me do, do. Our parents just talk Han Athabascan, so we just grew up talking our language. So ahi, that would be happy. Sehoso dahor, that means play with each other good. And my mom said, "Nah, here, take this down to your grandma and tell her, Mama biscuit ninachit. My mom sent you some biscuit." And she says, "Old lady, blind." She's saying she got a little kerosene box under her bed, and she pulled it out, and there's cookies and candy, and I could just take my pick, so I get a nice Tootsie Roll Pop or something. She was just the happiest little old lady. Work, 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 that's all she did. Grandma and Grandpa, they got a fish camp. All that fish, she'd be right there cutting it, and she'd go way back in the brush to pick blueberries, and she tans caribou hide and scraping moose skin, and no time for but she was just always so busy. My dad and mom, we'd all kneel to our bed and pray. And one time, my dad, he told me, "You pray." And I didn't stop, and I just said, "So says an injouts aina jihoso." If you go back to my grandma and grandpa, it'll be good for you. Like, go take care of my grandma and grandpa. I was telling God or something like that, and my dad couldn't stop laughing. Oh, that little old grandma. She just working hard. One time when it was nighttime and my oldest sister was having a hard time trying to go to sleep, she could hear something around the house. Something just hit the window, and that crashed the window into the house. It was a big grizzly bear, was just growling hard. And then my mom got a box and my sister had a chair or something, and they kept making sure that grizzly bear don't come through that window and keeping its head out. And while that, my dad said he'll get his gun. He just shot it and it fell back, and it was a big old grizzly. So we were lucky we didn't get hurt that time. In the spring, the ice would be all thin and clear, like it's ready to go any time, and everybody would take all their dogs back in the woods, higher ground. If the village flooded, the ice finally broke. It just wiped all the trees off all the islands and took out I don't know how many inches of the bank and stuff. After the ice goes out, then we have sucker and whitefish. They put in a little net in the summer, fish wheel. And I used to have a little frying pan, and I run around where they are cutting fish and pick up those little salmon hearts, fry my own little heart in there. And then we had hunting for ducks. They're nice and fat and chubby, so we have nice, good duck soup. And then hunting for moose and caribou. Our elders never told us. They just did it, and we watched them. And we didn't talk, and that's how we learned. Then 1956, I started first grade in Eagle. I remember we didn't speak too much, didn't know any English. The teacher would say, "Hello, how are you?" And we just looked like dummies at them. And my mom taught us to say, when they say hello, say hello. And they say, "How are you?" And you say, "I'm fine, thank you." That's what so you always said that. There was a teacher, she was part Cherokee, I think. And she always talked to us and tell us if we don't do our study, we'll never learn anything. And she was a big influence on me. And I made like 2 grades in 1 year with that teacher. But I was going to tell you about my ice skating days. I think I was 11, and my dad and mom decided to get me ice skates for Christmas from those Sears catalogs. All the kids, they used to just bring their shovel and just shovel out the ice for me so I could go ice skating. But my feet was too small for them, so they couldn't wear my ice skates. So they get those pop cans or whatever and just dip into it. It was our ice skates. Nice moonlight. The moon seemed like the moon in those days was just shining bright that you could just go through the brush. And we used to play cowboys and Indians. but we didn't want to be Indians because they always got killed by the cowboys. After I graduated from 8th grade, no high school in Eagle, we had to go to Shamawa in Oregon. I left on the plane. You can't quit crying, like it was a long ride. And then we landed in Seattle. We had to take one of those tour buses, and there were 5, 10 of us maybe. It was just strange. There's probably like 6 bunk beds to a room. It had a big bathroom with a lot of toilets in a line. And we never seen such things in our life, and it just made you feel bad that you're so far from home. I couldn't quit crying. I just cried away. I finally learned. I met some kids, and we had chemistry and all the subjects. And then I was in the choir. They made me one of the unit leaders. You make sure that people turn off their lights by 9 and rake the yard or clean the bathroom. I went there 4 years. Filet mignon is what they served us for our graduation dinner. And then after that, I got a scholarship for teaching, but I thought if I did that, I would have to stay out here for 4 years, and I'm tired of being out in the States, so I just came home. My future husband came to Alaska in '68. He was a cab driver for Yellow Cab, and my sister knew him. He came and picked us up one day, and he looked like a nice guy. So I said, "Would you mind if I call you up?" And he said, "No." And then he said, "But would you mind if I asked you for a date?" And I said, "I don't know, we'll find out." And I just met him, and next thing here, we're getting married in Eagle. His dad was an architect for Boeing, and he designed the Space Needle. Him and his wife came, and then we came to Fairbanks. We live on First Avenue in Grail. It was like 60 below and ice fog, and all we had was just a nylon windbreaker and a big sweater. And we'd walk all the way to town, to downtown, and I said, maybe we're just in love. That's why we were just nice and warm, not freezing walking to town. My husband worked up north, and he was a carpenter foreman. Somebody told him about a house in Esther that was up for sale. We moved there in '69. Just like a little village. That's how Esther was. It was just a nice little place to raise kids and have a family. And I had the daughter and the son. I had kids running up my food bill. So I had to start sewing to make some few dollars. And so I made like canvas boots like this. It's got moose skin under bottom, and then I do beadwork like coin purse and earrings and all that different kind of stuff. Then university hired me to transcribe all my mom's stories into English. I wrote Han Hodik Han Kuchin, like a Han person talking is the name of it. And it turned out good, and they made it into a little pamphlet so that they could see Han on one side and English on the other side. Shejeo is my language. Hetrtahok I Tha Hetani Than. I work on my language, and that's what I like. We moved back to Eagle, so I went out firefighting. We had this camp, and we were backfiring. Our crew decided that we're going to have a coffee break. Big spark came. I could smell my hair burning. And then out of the blue comes Armin. He said, "Ruth, get the heck in there." And he just pushed me into a helicopter. And as soon as we got up, that fire went right under us. In a little second more, we would have blown up in the air. In that old village, we had a meeting, and I speak up. I'm never scared to speak up. So then I got into the election. And so then I became the corporation president. It was just costing too much to take people to meetings. 10 people on that little corporation, that was too much. So I got that down to 7. And I think there were 9 on the council or something, and I got that down to 5. Then I was the chief too, so we got money to make that dump. Then somewhere along the way I decided that's enough political stuff, so I got out of that. My daughter has 2 boys and 2 girls, and my son has 3 boys, so I have 7 grandchildren. One morning I got up and I thought, I better make coffee. And I didn't even know that time went by. I had a brain aneurysm. We got to Seattle, and 5 o'clock in the morning they operated Brian in April. Flew down there, and the doctor told him, "Your mom might come out of this and not know who she is. She might not know who you are." And I woke up, I said, "And I'm hungry for chicken noodle soup." And the doctor said, "Ma'am, do you know who you are?" I said, "Yes, I'm Ruth Ridley, and that's my son Brian, and that's my daughter April." My advice, be happy and treat one another good, like they want to be treated, and pray. My grandma, she always, when winter's coming, she'd cry, because she said if she died, she didn't want the boys to be out there working hard to make her a grave in the frozen ground. So when she died in August, it was nice blue sky, sunshine. And she told us, your grandpa's right there, he's holding out his hand to me. Grandpa's wants me to go up there. So she took each of us and told us how to raise our kids and how to take care of Mom and all that. And she just went peacefully.